I know that when I say that archaeology is boring, it sounds weird, but in some cases it can be. And obviously, those who are very passionate about archaeology and like archaeology, they like that boredom. But I'm really saying it in kind of comparison to how archaeology is portrayed in the media in a lot of different ways. But obviously, in general, it's not actually that boring. It's so much more meticulous and so much more detailed that I think people understand. And to be honest, excavations are typically really short, obviously, depending on what type of archaeology you're working on, but like some are really, really short. They are a week. They are 2 weeks. I did a 5 week field school. That was the longest excavation that I did, and that was the only excavating I did for a full year. And so sometimes you think that you're kind of working constantly, like in the field and working out in those places, and that's not what you're doing. A lot of it is lab work, which I love lab work. I prefer lab sometimes more than actually going out and digging. But a lot of that lab work is cleaning little tiny pieces, little tiny random things, cataloging, having to figure out which type of each itty bitty piece of pottery and what type it is, and then having to label everything and organize everything. And you're doing a lot of paperwork, like a lot of paperwork, especially if you ever become like an archaeology lab manager, you have to do a crap ton of paperwork. Some paperwork I enjoy, some paperwork I do not enjoy. It's also just a really hard job with not a lot of rewards. In a lot of ways, it is a severely underpaying field. It is really hard to kind of get settled into a position, and that's kind of dependent if you are doing cultural resource management or if you are doing academic archaeology. And it's a there's not a lot of reward coming out of it because not all the time you're going to find stuff. And hate to say it, people have their preferences of what they like to find. Sometimes you find things and it's just 20th century trash and it's just really recent stuff and it's not interesting and it's not diagnostic, and you just, hey, sorry, you excavate it, now you have to go through the entire process of cleaning and cataloging and labeling and storing all of those things that you yourself might not think is going to be relevant to your study, to your research. But it really just depends, and it is just not the adventure that a lot of people think that it is. It is hard. You are out in the field for hours out of a day. You often have to travel very far, and you're staying in hotels, especially if you're working as a cultural resource management, and you're kind of constantly on the road. You don't really get to settle in one place a lot of times. But it is very rewarding in a lot of ways because you are learning about cultures that have been gone, and you are telling the stories of people that have been gone for a very long time. And that's why I like the public archaeology portion of it, because I don't think I would have never been able to really survive in a cultural resource management firm or anything like that, because I don't have that chance to kind of talk with the public. That would just be me bouncing around from excavation to excavation, and there would be no wrap up essentially, because those excavations are so short and they're done for development, and there's no like cool conclusion kind of at the end where you can publish something and you say, oh, this is amazing I can make this consumable for the public. It's not really like that a lot of the times. But as someone who likes to clean artifacts and likes to do cataloging, I like a lot of the meticulous stuff. Sometimes I really, really need those brain-numbing tasks. So whenever I get the chance and I get to help out, I loved to do that. But it's so much more mundane, I think, than TV and movies have portrayed archaeology to be. And finding the treasure, the absolute amazing things are just so rare.